What up? How's it going? Still wearing this shirt. I just don't change my clothes. This is the only shirt that I have. So you might just have to deal with it. I don't really shower either. Um, so that's just kind of how I roll. Just kidding. Okay, so today I'm going to talk to you just briefly about like my mental health education. Um, the first time my husband had a panic attack, I thankfully, like the week before, had watched an episode of Madam Secretary where she had a panic attack and she used a paper bag to breathe into to feel better. And that is what I did for my husband when he had his first panic attack. And that's all I knew. And it helped. It did help. But, um, my very general understanding of anxiety at the time was that it was this combination of nervous excitement, and my very general understanding of depression that it was this extended period of sadness. This might come off as ignorant. It could be a little exaggerated, but I really didn't know a lot more than that. Um, had I ever been around people with anxiety? Who hasn't? Did I know a lot about it? No, I didn't. And it was time for me to get learning. So, in the blog, I put just a few links to things where I learned more about anxiety um, and depression. And it's not comprehensive, it's just a place for me to stop. I also put a few little links to places that really were some links for people to get help with betrayal trauma, which is something that can happen when um, you are in a relationship of trust, and then that and then betrayal happens, basically. So, and then trauma can ensue from that. Um, so, anyway, also the stuff that I list there, it's so great, and it was very helpful for me, very validating. But I don't think it replaces therapy, and I don't think it replaces you directly working with yourself and applying everything to yourself to heal. So, um, I got professional help, and then I also learned a ton from the life coach school with Brooke Castillo, and that's who I ended up getting certified through. My biggest source of education with mental illness came from living with my spouse who had non-functioning he had debilitating anxiety, depression, but it was like he became non-functioning a lot. Um, a lot. And, I just want you to know that like this mental illness stuff, it's real. And this is a real organ in our body that is overproducing or underproducing certain hormones that help people feel okay. And if sometimes, or it overproduces, underproduces, and makes them feel really, really shitty. And thank heavens there are humans with degrees that can prescribe drugs to people when their brain isn't working the way that we want to. And, just like, someone learning to write with three fingers or walk with a club foot, I feel like my husband got to a point where he is now able to manage with his anxiety. And a cool example I just want to share is my husband. I believe that humans are made to adapt. It just doesn't mean every human needs to adapt. I just think we are adaptable, resilient beings. And my husband told me the story of when he was serving a mission, a church mission in India. There was a General 70 that was, I don't know if he was visiting or what, but he would challenge people to see if anyone could tie their tie faster than him. So this one armed old dude was challenging people to see if they could tie a tie around their neck faster than him. And my husband said that he always won. And I like this story because I think it's an example of someone who learned to function with the specific body the way that he chose to. Um, One thing I do want to say about anxiety is I feel like it's like, to me, I see it as this isn't like the answer. But I do see it as um, this spectrum that we kind of all sit on as humans. And I think my husband has told me this, like, he's had therapists tell him this through his sessions. So as humans, like, we all sit on this spectrum. Say it's like 0 to 100. And based on like genetics or environmental factors, it might trigger us to kind of go up or down on the spectrum. And I might sit at like a 20, but the night before a CPA exam, I might be like at a 95. Or the night before I have a baby, I might be at like a 75. Or a school test, like things can kind of like trigger that and trip it up. And for me, I've gotten to a place where I can kind of manage my mind when I do have those anxious events to get me to kind of get closer to my own baseline. And I feel like my husband's been able to do that too through the tools he's learned through his own through therapy and through life coaching. Um, and I also, just one thing I do want to share too about what my husband's experience is, watching his therapist like work with his cocktail of all the different pills and drugs and upping doses and decreasing doses was amazing. Like his psychiatrist was brilliant. But, I think even his psychiatrist would probably say this, like the pills weren't the only moving parts. There's exercise, sunlight, diet, sleep, environment, past trauma, so many different moving parts that can affect our well-being. I heard this podcast recently where the host basically was like, that saying, you are what you eat. He's like, yeah, that's bull. He's like, we are what we eat, drink, sleep, look at, think about, watch on TV. Like anything we take in makes up who we are. And I think there's a lot of truth um, in that statement. I really do. Um, I'm so grateful for modern medicine in the world, and I'm so grateful for professional therapists that exist. And I'm really grateful for mind management tools that I learned through life coaching that helped me to get to a very healthy headspace. I think there is a need for all humans in the world and for all different roles and things like that. And then just tying back to my last post, one thing I did notice too, the more my husband and I chose to open up about our story and our situation with safe people, that was something that helped me to see how prevalent mental illness is. Like to say it's common is an understatement. And part of why I want to like share my experience is just for people to know that there are other people out there experiencing the same thing. Um, it's there, it's real. A lot of us, if we're not experiencing it directly, like my husband, like I'm experiencing, you know, like I am a spouse, like trying to figure out my role in this too, and wanting to support my husband in the best way possible. And I've just realized that like I've had to learn how to support myself through this, because ultimately, like, I'm in control of me. I'm in control of my thoughts, which lead to my feelings, which drive my actions and my results in life. And just knowing that and being able to apply that personally is just absolutely monumental. So, anyway, that's just like a quick little excerpt about a little bit about my mental health education. There's been so much more, so many great podcasts, things like that. If I remember more, I'll kind of just keep adding them to this blog post or maybe somewhere else on the website, but there's a lot of great information out there. Okay, see you later. Bye.